tools for accuracy. We're going to delve into that toolbox and give you some tips that hopefully are going to help you out. It might not be everyone's way of drawing, but I think it's really good to learn how to draw this way so that you can bring a little bit of accuracy, bring a little bit of proportion into your drawings where you need to. David's kindly posing for us. Estimation and measuring. Okay, so you've probably heard of measuring before, and I've chucked in estimation there just to spice it up a little bit. Using a head as a unit of measurement to measure other areas of the body. So let's have a little look at these examples. There we go, there we have it. So working our way down, 1, 2, 3, 4 heads. And actually, sort of an idealized figure should be around 8 heads long. So 4 heads, and we're at the bottom of the pelvis. That's really good, that's a really good sign. You can see how we can measure down and we can start to note things. Next slide, I'm putting on some salient points. Okay, salient points are the most important and noticeable parts of something. So in this case, they're like little anchor points, little layout points that we can use to help our accuracy. We can see that 1.5 or just below a half heads down, we've got this clavicle. That's a good little measurement there. We know that. We can know it's 1.5 heads down. The nipples are at an angle, good to note, but they're about 2 heads down. And this fold in the armpit, that's about 2 heads, all right? So this isn't going to be for every figure, but this is just kind of what we're noticing here after we put these measurements on. Oh, look, the elbow, that's about 1, 2, and 2.5 and a little bit. Okay, so this is where we bring in the estimation. We're not going to measure every little finite detail. We have to estimate kind of ratios. There's this bit going in on the chest there. The belly button, really important that we get that. So that's 1, 2, 3 heads down. So you can see how the head measurements are giving us these salient points that we can note down at the start of a drawing, and they're really going to, solidify the sketch underneath that. Estimation and measuring again, but this time going across the body. And what I've done is I've taken that measurement for the head. You can use the tip of your pencil and your thumb to get the measurement, and then I've turned it. So I'm not necessarily measuring the head across like this, measuring the head from the top to the bottom, and I'm moving it around. I'm using that as my my centimeters or my inches. The boundary of the arm, we can note that that's what, say 2/3 or 3/4 of the way across here. The neck, measurements of the neck, and the end of the hand. So we're starting to see. Oh look, from this line across, there's the side of the. This is going to be really useful for us to map out. What have we got next? Alignment, brilliant. We're always going to start with a line down the figure and then come off of it and create these salient points, okay, that are going to help us draw the figure. So alignment is actually really useful. We can see here the back of the ear is aligning with the nipple, the armpit with the bottom of the hand here, this shoulder with the knuckle, the tip of the hair with the knuckle here, the eye, the lips, the belly button. Looking for these things that are lining up, another great tool. Next, angles of diagonals. You might have seen in a portrait or sort of drawings, I often go from the side of the head down to where the shoulder is, and this is like a diagonal line, and it's got an angle, and it's really important that we get the angles right for these. Okay, diagonal lines are really useful where things can't line up with straight lines and that sort of thing, but really important that we get these angles correct. Here's an example of if we get one of these angles wrong, even just a little bit, right? We get this angle wrong, so that this line isn't quite the right, coming at quite the right way, and we would end up with a big shoulder, wouldn't we? If we put a salient point here, if we put a point there as a guide, we'd end up with one big shoulder. So really important, even the diagonal lines. Implied lines. Here there's kind of a suggested line on the wrist, and that just so happens to line up with the nipple here. So actually, that's a good thing to check. They're little just things that you can check all over the figure. So this is lining up with the leg here. the clavicle, if we follow that on, it's lining up with this knuckle. Maybe a little invisible line here, even curved lines. And I just extended the finger and it just sort of entered the dip there, where just below the lip. So these implied lines, also really good to look out for. What have we got next? Sight size. Okay, in the schools in Florence and different places, they'll be drawing and painting in sight size. So if I was to draw this reference in this sort of size, I'm going to have a hard time to get the proportions right, and if I'm going too big, I'm going to have a hard time to get the proportions. So actually, have a think about where your sketch pad is, how far away you are from the screen. Okay, and we're going to try and draw a little bit sight size today. So try and make what you see on the screen similar size to the thing that you're drawing. Okay, and that will naturally help with accuracy as well. Okay, because we have a tendency to really struggle with changing the size of things. A couple of other tips: we can take a picture of our work. Just sometimes seeing it on a camera, really good tool. Just you might see something that you haven't seen before. Use a mirror to reflect your work. Take a step back and just go get a drink of water, step back, come back to your drawing, and even just a few steps back, you might see something, see the broader picture. Also tilt your surface. Okay, so this drawing board is tilted up towards the screen, and that way it's not skewing the perspective. All right, so if it wasn't tilted, if it was like this, can you see that's going to skew my drawing, and perhaps I'm going to end up accidentally drawing the feet or the lower part of the drawing smaller than it needs to be. And let's jump into a long pose. Pose number 1. Got this lovely image.
Get your sketchbooks out. Everybody's drawing. That's what it's about.
It's what it's about.
Quarantine is boring.
Quite boring.
Get your sketchbooks out.
I got my sketchbook out.
Lockdown life drawing.